I'd like to call to order the September 11th, 2023 meeting of Plymouth Township Council. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. At this time, I'm going to ask everybody to please remain standing for a moment of silence to recognize and remember the victims of September 11th, 2001, as well as to remember Plymouth Township Police Officer Brad Fox. Thank you. I'm going to bring one item up to the top of the agenda tonight. I'm going to ask Mr. Thomas Harkins is here tonight, and he would like to make a couple remarks. If you want to come up and have a seat at the table.
Yeah. I'm sorry, where was it? I guess for a couple minutes.
Oh, Mr. Harkins, hang on one second.
I asked for a couple minutes tonight to thank a couple of gentlemen who helped me in a bad spot for me. I managed to break the ball in my hip, right hip, 9 months ago. And as you can see, I still have my friend with me. And my wife wants me to take my friend every place I go. And I managed to not do that. I moved my cars around, and I tripped coming in from the street to the driveway and went down. And I now know what it feels like to have your bell rung in a pro football game. The cement was much harder than my head. These two gentlemen, Frank and Shane, and I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't know their last names, but I know them. They collect our recyclable material, and they were just past my house. They were already done my house, and they must have seen it because I wasn't going anywhere. And they came back, stopped the truck, came back, and got me over on my rear end because I was on my back like a turtle. I couldn't get up, and they dusted me off, stood me up, made sure I was somewhat all right, and took me into the house where I knew I'd get more dreadful material from my wife. Where was your cane? Don't worry about that. Worry about my head. All has gotten better. I'm an old man, so it's taken me longer than the average bear to recover. But with my cane, I'm making out. And I wanted to publicly thank Frank and Shane for being so kind and thoughtful. They didn't have to see me. They didn't have to come back and pick me up. But I wanted you all to know and be reminded that we have some great people that work for the township, as I see a lot of them standing there in the back. And so with that in mind, we just say thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Harkins. An announcement, a reminder that we held a conditional use hearing tonight at 6 p.m. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Chief John Merciades. We have the swearing in tonight of 4 new police officers to the Plymouth Township Police Department.
Good evening, Council. On August 10th, 2023, the Civil Service Commission certified an entry-level list for probationary patrol officers. As the police department currently has 4 vacancies to fill, the top 4 candidates were offered conditional employment, contingent upon passing both physical and psychological examinations. All 4 candidates have passed their examinations. Our first candidate is Peterson Myrtle, an Army veteran with 7 years' experience as a Lehigh Township police officer. He's joined here tonight by his wife Marlene, as well as other friends and loved ones. Our second candidate is Owen Keogh, an Army veteran who is a lifelong resident of Plymouth Meeting. He's scheduled to attend the Temple University Police Academy in October. He's joined here tonight by his mother Beth, his father Danny, as well as family and loved ones. Our third candidate is Ruben Pagan Rodriguez, an Army veteran who served a combat tour in Afghanistan. Ruben also has 1 year's experience as a Sharon Hill police officer. He's joined here tonight by his girlfriend Hannah, as well as family and loved ones. And our fourth candidate is Jacob Hennessy, a recent graduate of Montgomery County Police Academy, who holds both a bachelor's and master's degree in criminal justice from Westchester University. Jacob is joined here tonight by his mother Kate, his father Dave, as well as family and loved ones. I present these four candidates to council and respectfully request that they be sworn in as Plymouth Township police officers. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Should we make a motion for approval for each one separately?
If you want to do it for the same time, you can. And then I will swear in
Jody.
She can do it for the same time.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the hirings of the four officers together in one motion, if that's okay with council. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion that we approve the hiring of Peterson Myrtle, Owen Keogh, Ruben Pagan Rodriguez, and Jacob Hennessy to the Plymouth Township Police Department. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion.
I think there's a motion from Ms. Vicio and a second from Ms.
From Ms.
Bramblett.
Thank you.
Any comments or questions from council? Any comments or questions from the audience? Okay. Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Is Judge Lukens here? Here she is. We'll ask officers to come forward to be sworn in. I'm sorry.
Watch the clock there, Joey. I see it, yeah.
Judge Griffiths, excuse me.
That's okay.
Are we doing individually or
Well, that's what I was
all
asking.
together?
Do we want to do?
We can do them individually.
Yeah.
Do you have anybody here who'd like to have them hold the Bible for you? We can do that if you want.
Okay, so you're Jacob. Who do you want to do the Bible?
Sure. Megan. My girlfriend.
Just repeat after me. I, Jacob Hennessy,
I, Jacob Hennessy,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
and that I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township,
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
I do further swear
I do further swear
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
the law without consideration
the law without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap,
handicap,
or disability.
or disability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, repeat after me. I, Ruben Pagan Rodriguez,
I, Ruben Pagan Rodriguez,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear affirm
that I will support, obey, and defend
I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
and I will enforce the law of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township,
and the ordinance of Plymouth Township,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duties
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
I do further swear or affirm
I do further swear or affirm
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
the law without consideration
the law without consideration
to a person's race,
of a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap,
handicap,
or disability.
or disability.
All right, repeat after me.
Keough.
I, Owen Keough,
I, Owen Keough,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support, obey, and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
and that I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township,
and the ordinance of Plymouth Township,
and that I will discharge the duties of my office
and I will discharge the duties of my office
with fidelity.
with fidelity.
I do further swear or affirm
I do further swear or affirm
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
that I will uphold, obey, and enforce
the law without consideration
the law without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap,
handicap,
or disability.
or disability.
Congratulations. I, Peterson Merkel,
I, Peterson Merkel,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support, obey, and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and the Constitution of this Commonwealth,
and that I will enforce the laws of this Commonwealth
and I will enforce the law of this Commonwealth
and the ordinances of Plymouth Township,
and the ordinance of Plymouth Township,
and that I will discharge the duties
and I will discharge the duty
of my office with fidelity.
of my office with fidelity.
I do further swear or affirm
I do further swear and affirm
that I will uphold,
that I will uphold,
obey, and enforce
obey, and enforce
the law without consideration
the law without consideration
to a person's race,
to a person's race,
color,
color,
sex,
sex,
religious creed,
religious creed,
sexual orientation,
sexual orientation,
age,
age,
national origin,
national origin,
ancestry,
ancestry,
handicap,
handicap,
or disability.
or disability.
Congratulations.
Quick photo with all of them and council.
They don't know. Suffering. Really. What happened my leg? Lost 8 during upper hip 2 at home and then like I lose that. No, I'm not kidding. And they've lost the game in the next at bat. We're winning 4-0. They're gonna hold up. Scored 12 runs tonight for me.
I'll make it work. Come on, maybe 1, 2, 3.
Count your chickens.
This time smiling. All right. Congratulations, gentlemen. At this time, I'm going to invite Chief Merciades to issue some remarks about Officer Brad Fox.
Thank you. Officer Brad Fox was a 5-year veteran of the Plymouth Township Police Department. When on the evening of September 13th, 2012, he and his canine partner Nick were ambushed by a fleeing felon. Officer Fox was mortally wounded while his partner Nick was shot. Mercifully, Nick survived his wounds. Brad was murdered on the eve of his 35th birthday, leaving behind his young daughter Cadence and wife Lindsay, a wife who was pregnant with his unborn son and namesake Brad. Officer Brad Fox was a combat Marine, an accomplished canine officer, and a vital member of the Plymouth Township Police Department. More importantly, he was a husband, father, son, and brother. He remains our brother, and his family is forevermore our own. Thank you all for taking the time to remember our brother, Officer Brad Fox. Thank you.
At this time, before we get into the remainder of the agenda, I would allow everybody who doesn't want to stay for the exciting meeting, give you a couple minutes to leave if you'd like to. Thank you.
I don't know if you remember me, but I'm Hannah Thomas. Yeah.
How are you?
How are you?
Good to see you.
I was so excited when I saw you. I was like, I knew he was here.
Most people don't get that excited. Most people just run the other way.
No, you were an awesome teacher.
Oh, thank you so much. Everybody hear that?
Yeah.
Is that on the record?
Is that on the record?
We hear it all the time.
Thank you.
$40, but like it was worth it. I'm a teacher too, so I mean like $40 is $40. But, yeah. Oh, I will. Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you.
You could have paid it.
Compliments are free.
Yeah, she has a type.
We're gonna get a lot of noise out there. Can we direct them to like the lobby or something like that?
Maybe we should have taken this time to make sure.
I can give you 2 minutes.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris.
Small break. It's going to take a couple more.
Only 12 tonight at the Reds and
The rest of the bullpen.
I was telling Mike, today's like the third or fourth time that Parker Pumpkin is the ninth lead to out, and then they lost the game in the day. I was at one of the Giants. I think I was there. 3-run homer in the ninth with 2 outs. I think I was at that game.
So one of them.
You're at the Giants game?
You never thought, right?
No, it's right. Isn't it amazing?
Did you stay for the end?
Carol, I'm Chris's mom, obviously, with red hair.
Yeah. How are you?
Good, good. But, yeah.
Yeah,
It's
pretty
nice
sure
to
I was
know
there.
it's become a police officer. I'm glad.
Stay home when they work here. It's great.
Yeah. And he was in the military for 5 years, so he did his time. And it's like, it's nice to come home with your friends and your family. Yeah, definitely. But you're still teaching, right? Okay.
A couple more.
Couple more years.
Couple dozen years.
Yeah.
A dozen.
Well, you know my partner, John Zozola.
I do know John.
Yeah, and he's one of my players. Yeah. So. Yeah, keeping busy. You know, he's very lucky. Recovered. My father just fell and he died August 27th. It's like he was completely, active, he did everything. I think a couple times the police officers came to help him and he broke his hip, he got through his surgery, and then it was just rapid decline. He was 94. But he was like an active 94. He drove out, he did everything.
So he never got home.
No, he enjoyed life, he did, but it was a real shock. I mean, I kept saying to my husband, they always say, break your hip. It's like, it's not good. It's a shame. And he was so bad. He was sick bed and like live his life out. That wasn't going to be him. He did. He had 94.
I'll be that lucky.
He got to see his grandchildren, graduate college. But all else is good at PW.
It's all the same.
It's all the
It's
same.
like Groundhog Day.
Oh.
I love it. I love every minute of
group
it.
of kids.
That's great. Kids are great. Kids are great.
Yeah, that's nice to see. And Karen, are you doing any more MCAPs? Or are you staying away
Yes,
from
in fact, I've got messages coming from one of the moms, and I'm like, do I text her and say, I can't go, there's a meeting?
Oh boy.
Yeah, no, I just took on another PFA today.
It never ends. It never ends. Yeah. I've talked to these police officers in 5 years. You ask them about anything, it's always going to be domestic violence. That's the issue. It's always like the home environment, the domestic violence. That's always the scariest
I was on the
position.
phone for an hour with this mom this afternoon, and now she's texting me.
Yeah, it's really hard.
PFA, yeah.
Well, I do thank you for that because I know it's not fun to have to go to those.
It's not, but it's so important. And it's like I tell
Very
people,
important.
especially if the parents would ever have the word. Like, you know what? I have the best clients.
Yeah.
I have the ones
You have the
innocent.
little-
No one is innocent.
Yeah.
No one is. My clients are not to blame for any
I
of
know.
this. It's the adults in their lives.
It's really bad.
So,
Well, take it easy.
thank you. Thanks for asking about it.
We lost Karen. Okay, thank you, everybody. Appreciate the applause. Just an announcement that executive sessions were held on September 4th, 2023, and that executive session was held prior to tonight's meeting, September 11th, 2023. At this time, I would ask for council approval of the minutes for the workshop meeting on August 7th and approval of the meeting minutes from the regular meeting on August 14th. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second?
Second from Ms. Vicio. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Approval of departmental reports and bills. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion from Ms. Bandish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bramblett?
In favor?
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Moving down to administration, announcement of our 2024 budget meeting schedule. Ms. Bandish.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A notice that Plymouth Township Council has established Monday, October 16, 2023, Monday, October 23rd, 2023, and Monday, November 20th, 2023, at 6 p.m. as the dates and times, and Greater Plymouth Community Center at 2910 Jolly Road here in Plymouth Meeting, Montgomery County, PA, as the place to conduct the 2024 budget meetings and to consider any other matters that may come before council.
Thank you, Ms. Bandish. And a meeting change announcement.
This is a notice that the date of the Plymouth Township Council regular meeting for October, previously advertised for Monday, October the 9th, 2023, at 7 p.m., has been changed to Tuesday, October the 10th, 2023, at 7 p.m. at the Greater Plymouth Community Center, 2910 Jolly Road, Montgomery County, PA, to consider any matters that may come before council.
Thank you, Ms. Bandish. Next item under administration is a stipulation to settle a tax appeal. This tax appeal is for 651 Fountain Road, and I will turn that over to Mr. Clark.
Thank you, Mr. Monero. CY Plymouth Meeting LLC is the current owner of the tax parcel located at 651 Fountain Road in Plymouth Township, Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, more specifically identified as tax parcel number 49-00-04930-00-7. The taxpayer filed an appeal to the Montgomery County Board of Assessment Appeals seeking a reduction in the assessment of the property for the 2021 tax year. At the time of the taxpayer's appeal to the Board of Assessment Appeals, the assessment on the subject property was $8,976,000. The Montgomery County Board of Assessment Appeals issued a notice of no change in assessment, and the taxpayer appealed to the Court of Common Pleas. Based upon the risks and hazards of litigation, the parties have all decided that it is in their best interest to settle the above captioned matter based upon the terms and conditions outlined in this stipulation to settle. Effective January 1st, 2021, for township tax purposes, the assessment on the subject property shall be reduced from $8,976,000 to $7,600,000. Effective January 1st, 2022, for township tax purposes, the assessment on the subject property shall be reduced from $8,976,000 to $7,500,000. Effective January 1st, 2023, for township tax purposes, the assessment on the subject property shall be reduced from $8,976,000 to $7 million. And effective January 1st, 2024, for township tax purposes, the assessment on the subject property shall be reduced from $8,976,000 to $6,390,000. The assessment of the subject parcel shall remain at $6,390,000 until there is another subsequent successful tax assessment appeal, a county-wide reassessment, a change in the subject property, or any other change that permits a change in the assessment as provided by applicable law. As a result of the adjustment of the assessment on the subject property, there has been an overpayment in taxes to Plymouth Township for the tax year 2021, 2022, and 2023 in the amount of $12,226.56. Upon approval of the stipulation to settle by the court, the tax collector and/or treasurer for Plymouth Township shall issue the taxpayer a refund without interest in the amount of $12,226.56 unless taxpayer paid their taxes within the discount period. Then 2% shall be deducted from the amount of the overpayment. As with all of these tax assessment appeals, they have been essentially negotiated by the school district, who is the largest taxing authority of the three, the county, township, and the school district. If the council is in agreement to settle this, we would need a motion to agree to the stipulation to settle.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there a motion to agree to this stipulation to settle?
So moved.
There's a motion from Ms. Vicio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bramblett. Comments or questions from council? Comments or questions from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Moving down to Police and Public Safety. Chief, anything additional tonight?
No, I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Public Works and Sewer, nothing tonight. Mr. Manai, anything for engineering tonight?
Nothing tonight, sir.
Thank you. Down to subdivision and land development plans that are currently under review. First one is an extension for 502 West Germantown. Ms. Vicio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a letter from Jenna Cassman regarding 502 West Germantown Pike, Plymouth Meeting KPG 3 LLC. They are agreeing to an extension of the deadline on the subdivision and land development application, extension through November 30th, 2023, and I make a motion that we accept that extension.
There's a motion from Ms. Vicio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next extension request is for Outback Steakhouse rebuild, 322 Ridge Pike. Ms. Bandish.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I have a letter here from John Murphy requesting that we grant an NPC plan action deadline extension until November 30th, 2023 for the Outback Steakhouse application. I make a motion that we extend this, that we grant this extension.
Okay, there's a motion from Ms. Bandish. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Our next extension request is a letter from Tom Ludgate regarding Aristocare at 845 Germantown Pike, and this is a request to extend until December 12th, 2023. I'd make a motion that we grant this extension. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Okay, seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Moving down to conditionally approved projects that have not yet been recorded. We have two extension requests. First one is for Royal Farms. Mr. Whitney.
Right, in regards to the Royal Farms project, I have a letter here requesting an extension to November 28th, 2023. I would make a motion that we grant this extension.
Okay, there's a motion from Mr. Whitney. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Vicio. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, I'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Next is a waiver request for 2516 Butler Pike, the Miller residence. Ms. Vicio.
I think that's actually a resolution that
Yes, I'm doing
Mr.
that.
Buck will read.
That is a resolution, and I'm going to hand that one over to Mr. Clark, like I
Thank
said.
you, Mr. Manera. Be it resolved that Plymouth Township Council previously approved Resolution 2023-24, which approved the subdivision plan prepared by Robert E. Blue Engineers for John and Jody Miller, the owner-developer, dated January 13, 2023, last revised May 22nd, 2023, consisting of sheets numbers 1 through 3, proposing to subdivide Montgomery County tax parcel number 49-00-01231-00-7, located at 2516 Butler Pike, into two lots, with Lot 1 being 18,398.32 square feet, or 0.42 acres, and containing the existing residential dwelling unit, and Lot 2 being 16,757.97 square feet, 0.38 acres, subdivision application 23-1, in accordance with said plans, and whereas certain waiver requests were granted and certain waiver requests were denied, and whereas the owner-developer has asked council to reconsider the denials of said waivers, further resolved that the owner-developer shall be granted the following waivers from the terms of the Plymouth Township Subdivision and Land Development Ordinance of 1980 as amended. A, Article 5, Section 502.2.B2, from the requirements of having a collector street width of 36 feet with curbs and sidewalks, granted subject to compliance with Woodrow and Associates review letters. B, Article 5, Section 503.1.A, from the requirement of having sidewalks along the streets, granted subject to the compliance with Woodrow and Associates review letters. Article 5, Section 503.2.A, from the requirement of having a concrete curbs installed along each side of every residential collector or arterial street, granted subject to the compliance with the Woodrow and Associates review letters. All terms and conditions of Resolution 2023-24 remain in full force and effect, duly presented and adopted by Plymouth Township Council at a public meeting held on the 11th day of September 2023, Plymouth Township, by Christopher G. Monero, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Clark. Is there a motion to approve the waiver request for 2516 Butler Pike?
So moved.
There's a motion from Ms. Vicio. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bandish. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Thanks. Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Moving down to projects under construction, we have 2 escrow releases for action tonight. First one is for the Proving Grounds. Mr. Whitney.
I have a letter here from Mr. Lonnie Nye that at this time, based on field observations of work complete to date, it was found that sufficient work has been completed to release the amount of $215,818.38. I would make a motion that we approve this escrow release.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Whitney. Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Bramblett. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
The chair votes in favor. Next escrow release is for the Andrews Estates. At this time, based on field observations of work completed, we find that sufficient work has been completed to release the amount of $128,327. By releasing this amount, the total account balance for the project will be reduced to $632,285.20. I'd like to make a motion that we approve this escrow release. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Whitney. Comments or questions from council or from the audience? Seeing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Ms. Bandish?
In favor.
Ms. Vicio?
In favor.
Ms. Bramblett?
In favor.
Mr. Whitney?
In favor.
And the chair votes in favor. Moving down to zoning, announcement of our zoning hearings for this month. Ms. Bramblett.
Thank you. The Zoning Hearing Board of Plymouth Township will hold a public hearing on Monday, September 18th, 2023, commencing at 7 p.m. in the Greater Plymouth Community Center, 2910 Jolly Road, Plymouth meeting. The following applications will be heard. By the 1912 Club, Brian Quinn, on an application for variance from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance Number 342 as amended, Article 19, Section 1909A. The variance requested is as follows. An 8-foot fence on areas around the golf course where 6-foot height is the maximum allowed. This property is located at 888 Plymouth Road in an open space recreation zoning district. The other application is by RVM Tree Service, Jenna and Ramon Vasquez Martinez, on an application for a variance from Plymouth Township Zoning Ordinance Number 342 as amended, Article 19, Section 1909E. The variance requested is as follows: a privacy 6-foot fence in the front yard. This property is located at 337 Lucetta Street in a C residential zoning district. Any citizen of Plymouth Township or an interested party may attend the public hearing and have an opportunity to be heard.
Thank you, Ms. Bramblett. Moving down to Parks and Recreation, or upcoming events from the Parks and Rec Department. Ms. Vicio.
Mr. Chair, we have in September a variety of exciting events happening through the GPCC. We have at Harriet Whittle Park a campfire and hayride on Saturday, October 10th. There are reduced rates on the GPC annual passes, 10% off. That goes from 10/4 to 10/20. Halloween is taking place on Friday, 10/20. We have a Veterans Day celebration on Wednesday, 11/8. There's an outdoor vendor market on Saturday, 11/18. There's a new location for that. That'll take place at CMS, middle school. We also had a holiday tree lighting ceremony, Wednesday, 11/29. We see two other programs returning to the schedule, a bus trip to New York City on Saturday, 12/2, and the Graham Cracker House Workshop, also on Saturday, 12/2. There's also Breakfast with Santa, Saturday, 12/16, and we are on an ongoing basis looking for fall sponsors. Details about any of these programs can be found in the GPCC's brochure, app, or website, or on social media, or by calling 610-277-4312.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Vicio. Moving down to miscellaneous and old business, we have a few citizen board vacancy announcements. Mr. Whitney.
Thank you. All residents wishing to serve on the citizen boards are asked to submit their resume or a letter stating their interest to the township manager at 700 Belvoir Road, Plymouth Meeting, PA 19462, or via email kweiss@plymouthtownship.org. The following citizen board positions are open. There are 3 positions open on the Property Maintenance Code Appeals Board, 1 position on the Historical Architectural Review Board, and 1 position on the Human Relations Commission.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Whitney. Is there anything additional from council tonight? Yes?
I have one.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Today we received a request from PennDOT. They want to pave Plymouth Road between Johnson Road and Germantown Pike at night, starting tomorrow night, Wednesday night, Thursday night. They don't want to pave during the day due to the Plymouth Elementary School, so they're asking permission to work at night. That is up to you. Just received it today. I'm sorry for the short notice, and they want to start tomorrow night. Apparently they're restoring they had some water line repairs or installations, and they need to repave the road, and they're asking to do it at night.
What would the hours be at night, like from when to what?
Think about 8 p.m. till maybe 5 or 6 a.m.
And how much noise will this?
You know, when the trucks arrive, if they need to back up, you'll hear beep, beep, beep. There'll be lights. It would be, trucks delivering the asphalt. And yes.
The problem is the alternative is doing it during the day when it's going to disrupt the
buses,
the many parents who come and drop off.
And school children cross there.
Right, they walk.
Yeah,
There's a crossing guard right there.
That is why, that was their reason for wanting to pave at night. Due to the school was the reason given, due to the school.
Yeah, I mean, I just say I don't honestly see a better option than doing it at night. Just knowing the amount of cars, especially in the morning and the afternoon, they can't stop and move everything for 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. I think it would be very difficult to do it during the day.
So how many nights would this be?
3 nights, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's what their estimate is.
I'm wondering
From
if
Johnson, they would start at Johnson and work toward Germantown, is what they said.
All the way down.
I mean, I'm wondering if they can manage the hours so it's not late. I mean, I know when there was work, nighttime work in another part of the township, we got a lot of flack from a few people who were close by that were just kept up like multiple nights. And I realize sometimes we're inconveniencing a small number of people versus a large number, but I mean, is there a possibility they can manage their work hours so they're not working like in 3 hours a night? I mean, maybe they're working from 8 to 11 or... I mean, I don't know if that's possible. I don't think 3 hours.
I know that when they do this, they have to
just get
set up.
and they'll have to turn
Yeah,
around.
yeah. There's a lot of
3
setup
hours
of
is
barriers.
There's a lot of setup that begins at,
and
the start of the job.
flaggers, and so the setup itself.
The setup itself.
I know from the other part of the township, and I lived there, it takes a while to set it up and then a while to break it down to return to normal operations. I just think because of the school and being right there in front of that school with kids crossing and walking up the sidewalk from Falcon and those other streets, there's no choice. It's safety.
Is there some way that we can alert residents?
Could try. Maybe a message board. I was gonna say, there's not a lot of time to send them a letter. There's no time, they wanna start tomorrow night.
No, but like,
The message board would have to take down, put it up and take it down immediately if they're doing work there.
Well, we could just
Or code red.
have it up for the 3 nights, you know, during the day.
I mean, I can put up a message board or send out a code red, but
The
it's,
code red, yeah, the robocall.
Yeah.
the thing is, but it's gonna go out in the morning and it'll start tomorrow night. It's not really.
Yeah, it's not, it's very short notice, and I apologize. I got this request today. Chris Hoskava got it today. Maybe the robocall is a little bit easier.
Yeah.
And we,
But not to everybody, just to the people
well, yeah, we
there.
can target it just to the people
No, we
on
can do that.
Plymouth Road, or maybe a couple houses in on Falcon
Yeah,
Eagle.
that'd be helpful,
All right.
at least if people had a heads up.
at least they know, they're not like, what is going on out there?
Shame they couldn't have done it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh well, it is what it is.
Kids in school.
Okay, but we're in favor of the nighttime because of the school.
Well, I think we
Okay.
have much of
I
a
am.
choice.
Okay, thank you.
Kids.
Anything else? Anything from the audience tonight?
Yes.
And we just would ask that anybody who wants to speak, best we can do is if you can come to the front table, there's a microphone there so you can be picked up. Just mention your name and whether or not you're a Plymouth resident.
My name is Ardis Lukens. I'm a committee person for Plymouth 1-2. I live on Conshohocken Road. Several months ago, we came in front of the council and requested that something be done down on Conshohocken Road because of the speeding and the traffic and the pedestrians going back and forth, the kids and everything. Representative Scott spoke with PennDOT. They will not put in a stop sign, but they have said that they will put in a crosswalk if Plymouth Township answers several questions. We are coming in front of Plymouth Township to find out where the status is of answering those questions, where we stand with getting a crosswalk down in on Conshohocken Road. 2 weeks ago, we had a resident that was hit by a car on Conshohocken Road. She has a broken arm. Her fingers are broken because she was crossing Conshohocken Road because she couldn't get a handicap parking spot on her side of the road. So, needless to say, we are very upset at this point. The chief has been wonderful, making sure that we have had more coverage down there, and people have been starting to get pulled over, but enough is enough. We need to know when we're going to get a crosswalk. We need to have a to-do list. What we would like to have is a to-do list and a list of a deadline date when you think you're going to get these things done so that we can follow. And we would like the council and Plymouth to be honest with us about the challenges and about when this is going to get done. We also need a sidewalk extension that goes that continues on from the end of Conshohocken Road under the Blue Route to Old Elm Street, because those people are cut off from the rest of the township and the rest of the area, and that's not fair. There are 60 families down there that have to walk on dirt and an unpaved area to get to the sidewalk. It is very dangerous, very dangerous. And we need answers. We are here to get answers. Thank you.
Or just a couple,
Yeah.
there are a couple points there, so I want to make sure I have them all. Your first question was, PennDOT is asking us for information before crosswalk is put in. So
That is correct.
So do we know what questions
So
and
I
what the
guess
status?
I would need council to authorize the township engineer to create a plan because there's 2 utility poles that need to be relocated. They have to be, what PennDOT said is we need to have ADA compliant
Right.
with, the truncated domes, sidewalks. There's on a couple corners, it's not going to go anywhere, right? There's one corner
Right.
that's all grass, but PennDOT is requiring that the corner be provided with handicap compliant. It used to be the handicap ramp went in the middle of the over the corner, now you have to have two instead of the one.
Right.
So, you know, we'd need a plan. The township engineer would have to do like a survey. You probably describe better what would be needed before you can give a contractor, put it out to bid, get a quote, and find out how much it's going to cost. You need a plan.
But we've had this, you've had this for a while.
There's not a plan. They did a traffic study. We had
But you've had the request for a while, so why haven't we had a plan done?
I've not been authorized to have the engineer, or the engineer hasn't been authorized yet to do it. I mean,
Who authorizes?
So we do. So
Okay.
would we like to authorize Mr. Manai
Does it need a
to
motion
I don't think so.
No.
Just
a consensus.
it's a consensus to go ahead with.
Yeah, sure.
Get a plan that a contractor could work off of, that would
Okay.
include relocating utility poles. They're so close right now, they have to be moved. And I don't know if there's anything, I think Chris Lasciava explained there might be some gas lines down there.
There's some gas lines, but
Everything that has to be considered for the contractor before he can put these sidewalk, handicap compliant sidewalks.
okay.
So that's what has to happen. We need a plan that a contractor could work off of, and then we need to put that contract out to bid. I would imagine it's going to be over the threshold. We require public bidding. So then when, that goes out and the council finds out how much it costs, and the money's in the budget and everything else, whether it's budgeted, if it's going to happen the rest of this year, or we can budget it for next year. We're going to start with the budget meetings in a couple weeks. It's going to cost, it has to be budgeted, like major projects get budgeted, and then it could be awarded, and then it could be built.
Okay, so can we have in writing what needs to be done? We would like what needs to be done, what the time frame is going to be, when the deadline is that we can expect for that to be done. And basically just a time frame, a timeline of when this is going to get done. We would also like to know what if anything was promised by PennDOT for a sidewalk going under the Blue Route and up to Old Elm Street. In the 2040 plan, which I think, Chris, you were involved with writing, there was something in there on page 77 about a sidewalk going up under the Blue Route Bridge and extending up. And I don't know which side you guys thought of, but we're just thinking an extension of the sidewalk that already exists, which unfortunately is on the wrong side of the road, but at least extending up to where that stop sign is, so that people can safely cross and walk on a sidewalk, so that when they have a stroller with two babies in it, which we have on a regular basis, or people with dogs, or children coming from the proving grounds, or children coming from the back part of Cunnytown, from Old Elm and Fulton Street, that those people can actually walk safely from point A to point B, so that they can go down and enjoy the bike trail, that they can go down and they can walk on a sidewalk like everybody else. These are things that we as taxpayers have been asking for years, and nothing has been done. And we need it done. We need to see something. We need to know that we count and that we matter. Our neighborhood was cut in half by the Blue Route, and now we're just there. But the thing is, we are also the entryway into Plymouth Township. And is that really, honest to God, what you want people to see as the first impression of Plymouth Township?
In answer to your timeline, I don't think we can say right now definitive dates, but I know that we can say the first step has just been taken, authorizing the plan.
Tim Woodrow and told him to put that project on the schedule. So
we can once we get started with that, we can probably give you a little bit of an idea of how long this takes. Obviously, as Ms. Weiss explained, some of these getting the plan done, seeing what it costs, getting it put out to bid. Obviously, the coordination of any other utilities. It's not going to happen overnight, but the first step.
Yeah, it's got to be reviewed by PennDOT, so that's kind of like a back and forth thing that takes time too to get approval.
This was a project. This was known after Greg Scott had his meeting, which was a month ago. So this was something that was already there that I knew about, and if I knew about it, then I'm assuming you all knew about it as well.
Well, we're taking
That
action.
yeah.
I mean, we're taking action on it right now.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
in addition to the question about the sidewalk, I need a little help here too as well. Is that what's our role? What would PennDOT's role be? I know it's not our
That's what I
road, so
wanna
it's not
find
our
out.
road who's.
Yeah, it's not, again, I guess that would be another study for Mr. Woodrow to do, because, so is there right of way? Is there right of way in the road that,
Well,
or
we
is
don't
it,
know that.
or is it private property? And if it's private property, does that need any
Yeah.
takings? I don't know, it's not our road.
Right.
It's a state road, they may or may not have right of way. You might be asking people to give up part of their property for that.
Not on the other side. It's the steel company in the Blue Road.
Well,
But that's somebody's property, and
yeah.
typically, a state road right-of-way goes to the edge of the paving.
Okay.
It doesn't go
Beyond that.
beyond that. So in order to put a sidewalk in legally, you have to acquire or create an easement for that land to put the sidewalk in.
So my question then would be, when the Blue Route was built, they cut that neighborhood in half. What kind of agreement was made, and I don't know if there was any agreement made, that Cunningtown, that neighborhood be taken care of so that it was not split in half. They cut Old Elm Street in half.
They did.
They did.
They did.
So there should be, and there was a sidewalk on Old Elm Street. So in order to reconnect, there should have been something in the deal that, all right, if you're going to cut Old Elm Street and you're going to put a highway, a 6-lane highway in between and cut Old Elm Street in half, then you need to have a sidewalk that joins Old Elm Street back onto Conshohocken Road at some point, because that's one neighborhood split in half.
I agree with you 100%. Ideally, that there should have been something like that. None of us were here when the Blue
Can
Route
we-
was built.
right,
And
so if-
I doubt they ever asked Plymouth Township for any agreement. The state would do what they were going to do.
Do
with
we
regard
have
to
any
Blue Route.
paperwork on that I could look at? Who would have that?
PennDOT?
Okay,
I
I'll
would
ask
imagine.
PennDOT.
I would imagine they would come and they condemned land and they built that highway. But they took properties and they just, put that Blue Route in.
So they took it through eminent domain.
I wasn't here at the time.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that they did.
And Lonnie,
And that's what
Imagine
the
if
term
they
that
did.
we're going to use, that we might have to do to get the land, put the sidewalk in.
Right.
can you then check and your staff check and see what the easement is, right away
Sure.
is there, and see what we have available
You
there?
usually have to study other plans and find other recorded documents to find out if there is existing right-of-way. You have to ask PennDOT that question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do they let people park underneath the Blue Route anymore?
No,
No,
there's no place
because
to
that's
park.
their land, and they've said no before to the parking. I don't know if they'll say, I don't know if they'll say no
There's
to
no
a sidewalk.
space.
I mean, it's their property now. I don't know, but we can check, we can try.
We can try.
We
We
can
have a
try.
good relationship with Bobby Chingle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, we
can
he's the field guy for
Okay.
Plymouth Township, so we
Okay.
can call him tomorrow and get
And
him
any
out.
documentation on
I
any kind of...
We don't
I
have-
don't have it.
Right, right. But he might have it. He might be able to get
PennDOT
it.
might have it.
Right. And I would be happy to look it up. I think most of the people here would be happy to help in looking up to see what kind of agreement was made between Old Elm Street and Conshohocken Road, and if there's any way we can get a sidewalk in. The other thing is, Mrs. Galante would like a handicap
Can
parking
we
spot.
just finish this? Sorry, before we move to that last
Okay.
point, you were about to say something more.
I was going to say, could you do a right-to-know request of PennDOT? Sure. For that record?
Okay. All right.
I mean,
I
that's
can do that.
how you would get that information if they have it.
Okay.
So I'm sure, how many years now? 30 years or more?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can we do that right to know request so Ms. Lukens doesn't have to do it, or does a resident have to do it?
We could do it.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
If they don't know. All right. And then in regards to the handicap parking spot,
For Mrs. Galante.
and Chief, I believe you and Ms. Lukens have spoken about this.
Getting that signage up. I'm willing to give it tomorrow.
We have, if it's private property, like you said,
It's not.
Oh, it's not that gentleman's private property?
No.
Oh,
But he's okay with it. Either way,
but
Bruce
it's not
says,
his property, you're saying?
right, Bruce says he doesn't think it's his property. He said there might be a small amount, but it's nothing.
I thought I had a solution because I thought it was private. But I can talk to you after the meeting,
Okay.
and I'll come down there tomorrow morning myself.
Perfect.
Look at it. I just have to know if it's private or if it's not.
Bruce says it's not his property.
I'll have to check with the township
Okay.
to see who owns that parcel
Okay,
because I can't
okay,
do something. If it's private property and they say it's okay, that's easy.
yeah,
If it's not, I have to find out whose it is.
okay.
But tomorrow morning, I'll be down there.
That sounds like a plan. I just have to be aware.
I'll get back to you after the meeting.
Okay.
If you can tell me where I'm going.
Okay. Okay.
Now, all of these plans will be for a crosswalk, correct?
Unfortunately, they wouldn't pay a stop sign.
They won't allow us, they won't allow us to pay.
No, I know. But there's no possibility, in light of a recent horrible accident or
Is there another meeting coming up with the state representative?
With Greg and
Greg.
PennDOT. Greg says he's going to let them know that there was that this happened, and he's trying to arrange another meeting.
Excuse me. I got a message that there's a meeting tomorrow, I think at 2 o'clock.
Oh, he did get a meeting?
I thought it was Thursday. Is it
Sweet.
tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Let me see. I thought it was tomorrow.
You know what, I don't have that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thursday at 2 o'clock. His office had scheduled it. And I
Okay.
think there's a PennDOT representative on that meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm going to be attending that, so I'll
Okay.
find out and I'll talk to you.
Okay. All right. Does anyone else want to?
Again, just name and whether you are a Plymouth resident. You're more than welcome to sit or stand.
I'm fine standing. My name's Greg Petrowski. I live on Old Elm Street and Lake Street. I'm here about the same complaint. Lake Street, unpaved section. I was told it was going to be paved this summer by Mr. Ternetta. Right? Yes, I was told that. Yeah, I'm out there watering my flowers the other day. There goes a big dump truck on. There's dust 2 stories high. I'm like, great. I can live in a dusted out neighborhood. And noise. But still, they did level up the road a little bit. Still the dumpster truck, bang, bang, bang. Then all the other trucks all day long. 7:15 in the morning, there's a convoy at 30, 40 trucks going out. 3:15 in the afternoon, there's a convoy coming back up. There's the street. Noise, dust. What happened to the paving?
When did Mr.
This was
Mr.
discussed
Fernandez-
months ago. I'm not just making this up. You told me, somebody's told me here that that road, Mr. Ternetta intentions of paving at in the summer. I was back here in the spring or in the late winter.
Chief has maybe an answer for you.
I mean, it's not a good answer, but I do have an answer. We have been in constant contact with him, with code enforcement, because that's their purview.
Yeah.
Just as of a couple weeks ago, I asked him to go back down there again because I said it's not done. I keep going down there myself.
Yes.
He says that and I don't know if he heard this from Mr. Tornetta's mouth himself or he's making an assumption, but the code enforcement officer told me that what Mr. Tornetta had done is it. That he filled in a divot essentially, so there wouldn't be such a big. And this has been going on for a year or so. I know it's been. So that's my understanding.
Some of my neighbors can attest to the noise, though.
I don't doubt it. And the thing is that when we discussed it here, that the township has no power over his private property. The code enforcement officers telling me that there's no violation that he's aware of.
It's undedicated land. It's not private property, though, right, Chief? That's undedicated, that road, right?
I think it's disputed, is my understanding.
It belongs to somebody. It's
Who's
either
it
Tornetta's
belong
or the
to?
township.
It's on the tax
It's not ours.
So it's got to belong
That road's
to.
on the tax.
It's on the tax map?
It is.
Yeah, but it doesn't belong to the township, so it must be private property.
How's it private property, then?
There are roads that
It's
are
on the
private.
tax map, though. Who owns it, then?
There are a lot of private roads on the tax map
Yeah.
and undedicated alleys.
That's not now. That's a road. That's a major thoroughfare now because of all Mr. Tenet is leasing that property back there. InfoSource, Ramp Dumpster Company, Abenizio, Patch Towing. Constant flow of traffic through a little neighborhood there. Constant flow. I don't want, why do I have to deal with dust 2 stories high in my neighborhood, getting dust? Like, my wife works from home 2 days a week. She likes having the window open sometimes in the fall or the spring. She has to close the window because of the noise. Where's the justification in that? That's wrong. Wrong.
So do we have ordinances that we can enforce, not just for the noise, which I guess him filling in that divot helped?
It did help a little bit, but that was just a buffer. That was just just put a Band-Aid. That was a Band-Aid.
That was him saying, I did something.
Huh?
That was him saying, I did something.
Yeah, he did something.
So is there any ordinance that?
Yeah, but
code
Mr.
enforcement
Tenet doesn't
can-
have to deal with the noise. Doesn't have to deal with the dust. Doesn't have to deal with the traffic, does he? No, he doesn't live down there. Just like I have to deal with his traffic from the proving grounds. Sometimes I get down to the end of the block, I have to wait 5 minutes to get out. Some of my neighbors will attest, you can't get out on the Conshohocken Road because there's so much flow. You go up there on the weekend, there's not a parking spot to be had in all that area. And them lots are huge. And not a parking spot to be had. They're parking on top of the grass, they're parking everywhere. I have to deal with his traffic nonsense too. Because that's a main threat. And he can't help the neighborhood out by doing a little bit of right there.
Well, I guess we have to have a violation of an ordinance before the township can enforce anything, and it would require an ordinance, I would imagine, about, like the dust, the breathing, the...
Yeah, the dust is unhealthy. Come on, you get people on my feet.
Can we just try to revisit this with Mr. Tornetta? I mean, I'll personally speak to him again and see if we can get any kind of a different answer.
So my neighbors will tell you about that truck traffic.
Well, we've heard it. We know all about it.
I
believe
it's
you.
old.
I
It's
believe you.
old. It's old. The dust is old.
heard
The
it.
noise is old. Now, one morning, I didn't feel like getting up to call the chief. 4:15 in the morning, there's some not so smart dumpster driver. 4:15 in the morning, I heard ba-bang. I'm like, 4:15? I'm like, I got to crawl out of bed and go down and make a call? Wait, what's this guy thinking? Like, what's their company thinking? Nobody should be allowed back there at that time. Okay, 7 o'clock, 6:30, that's different. 4 o'clock in the morning, what's he doing up there? What's he doing driving through?
Isn't there a noise ordinance?
Yeah, there is a noise ordinance.
There is a noise ordinance.
And there are certain hours, so that...
Yeah, they should be known, that company should be known, nobody before
it's only
certain
for
hours in the morning. That was wrong. I'm like, I have to get up and call an officer down for it. The guy's going already. What am I like, what are you going to do? Track him?
Unfortunately, the problem is even the noise ordinance
Yeah, I
doesn't
know.
apply. If the truck driver is making other noise other than traveling, if he's traveling and the road is bad, I don't know if I can hold him
Yeah, you can't hold him
responsible.
responsible because of the road such
And
a
then if I
mess.
go cite Mr. Trinetta, he can say, I didn't make the noise.
He
just for
didn't
that
make the- yeah,
pothole."
I understand, Chief.
I want to do something.
Yeah,
I'm even
I
happy
see.
to do something even if the judge throws them out. I just still don't think it's going to solve anything 'cause
No.
until that road is fixed,
Until that
the
road's
problem's
fixed.
going to persist.
Yeah, bro, look, it's just the dust and everything. It's just traumatic. I lift my window up, the soles are full of dust. I'm like, dirt in. I'm like, come on. Yeah. He said, I don't know. I thought he said he was going to pave it, not just put a Band-Aid on it. I thought the paving word was said. I'm not talking.
All right, I'll go back to him. Let me see what I can find out. We'll continue that. I mean, I don't want to keep putting it off, but I'm just going to keep going in circles here tonight. So
Yeah, okay, no problem. I
let me see what we
appreciate it.
can
Yeah,
do,
no,
and we'll get back to you.
It'd be great if something,
It would be great if people just were responsible and took their neighbors into consideration.
Not like he's
All
not
over
making,
the township, we have people that
he's
don't.
making, okay, he's a great businessman and everything, but he's got to take into consideration other people in the town, in a small neighborhood. There was no thing about him putting all them trailers and trucks back there. There was no petition put out, like a sign put out that he was putting there. I would have fought that if he said he was going to do that back there. I would have fought. There was no, I know it's his property back there, but there was no, anything like that. Usually if something goes on, I thought they have to notify you of something that's going to happen. Right?
It's a different zoning district. It's not a residential zoning district. His property is limited industrial.
Yeah.
Using it for permitted uses in the limited industrial zoning district. That's the
Yeah,
difference.
but he could have put, okay, he was using that there. He could have put another road through back where he put the proving grounds in. He could have put another road. There's one, that's another problem. There's only one way in and out of there. what is that legal?
What is
One
that?
excess, in and out. What if something happened back there? What if some people are trapped back there? What is that legal? No egress? I don't think that's legal,
It's legal.
right?
It's not illegal what you're discussing. I understand your concerns.
It's
but-
not. It's not legal though, is it?
No, it's legal.
Huh?
It's legal.
It's legal.
Yes.
And he is.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Eileen Bruick. I live on Old Elm Street, 400 block on the Plymouth side. As Artis said, there's a good number of us here from the Cunningtown area to support the sidewalk and the crosswalk. I was here at a prior meeting, and what I started with then seems like it still applies. Cunningtown, for a really long, long time, was the black sheep of Plymouth Township, and no one here can deny that. For a really long time, it has not been paid attention to, it has not been kept up, and it has been flat out ignored. I understand that the stop sign has been declined by PennDOT, and I've heard multiple reasonings over the time, the first being it wasn't a four-way intersection. Now I'm hearing there's not enough accidents to warrant a stop sign. And what's pathetic about that statement is that PennDOT and even maybe people in the township, I'm not sure, are being reactive instead of proactive. And that's just plain disgusting. That they are refusing to put in a stop sign because there's been not enough accidents. I didn't live there then, but years and years ago, it's my understanding that there was a little boy hit on Conshohocken Road, and there was a watch children sign put up sort of near where the bridge is. What's it going to take? I understand, again, maybe you've got no more fight in you to push the stop sign issue, but Dottie, the woman that was hit, I have known her since 2002 when I first moved to Plymouth Township. She is the sweetest woman. I believe her husband died not too long ago, and she continues her life, drives, does all the things, and all she was doing was moving her car, because parking is a whole other issue, but that's nothing for here, and was moving her car to be closer to home and got hit. The crosswalk, I came to this meeting thinking we were going to be discussing that and supporting it, and now I'm hearing that there's been nothing done. And that's another thing that's really sad. I love living in Plymouth Township. I am so thankful that the police officers have made themselves present there since school started. Friday morning, Tommy Rossi, who's the crossing guard at Light and Old Elm, or Light and West Elm, the police officer was there and had his lights on for probably a good half hour, like while Tommy was there, maybe longer than that, but while I was standing there talking to him. And cars slowed down. And they were actually going well below the speed limit, and it was a beautiful sight. People could cross over to get, from the bike path into the bike path without, having to stand there for 2 or 3 minutes for people letting them cross. There's mornings where it takes me 4 minutes of just standing there before either cars are going slow enough or someone actually stops to let me go. So maybe a crosswalk would be helpful. Artis has put out her own money and bought signs. Whether or not signs do anything, who knows? I mean, the speed limit sign has been there for how long, and people just watch the number and keep going, no matter what it says. I have watched this township grow, our area. I have watched Cunningtown grow. There are so many families there. There are more children there. There are more younger people there with starting families, with babies, with animals. There's so many people that live in our area now with dogs and kids and going to the bike path, going for walks along the street, and it's not safe. Crossing that street is not safe. And I see it every morning when the crossing guard is there. So even knowing that it's a crossing guard area, people don't slow down. And that's really all I wanted to see. With growth comes wonderful things. There's money for the township. It's a good community feel, neighbors being neighbors. But with growth also comes negativity. There comes more traffic. There comes speeding. There comes accidents. So there needs to be a balance. If the township is going to grow and more people are coming in, it needs to be then that it's made safer. And all of those growth aspects and what results from that are handled appropriately. And you'd hate to see people leave. You'd hate to see more accidents. So number one, it's really nothing to laugh at. I know the fellow before me was trying to speak as to the noise, which is completely an issue. And there was people up here laughing, and there's really nothing funny about what we're up here discussing. So that's all I really have to say. Thank you.
Hi. Dan Gallagher, Old Elm Street. Used to be
Dan,
an
I'm sorry,
employee.
can you repeat your last name again?
Gallagher. Used to be an employee at Plymouth Township. Lived in Cuddy Town for about 35 years. The township has maintained a park, Allenwood Park, before the Blue Route came through. Got separated. Why wasn't a sidewalk put in back then? My own kids couldn't go to that park. 35 years I've been there. But they maintain a park for now only one side of Cuddy Town. We don't have a park. So that gives you a little history of what's been going on down there for people that don't know. And I don't know if you know the area, but there's a park there. How long's that park been there? Allenwood Park probably was named after Allen Wood, so that was there pre-war, World War I, World War II, whatever. So I'd like to thank council for attempting to do the best you can, because we're working with too many entities, I guess you can call it, or state. It's a shame. But these people are right, because they're living it. I don't have any kids anymore that are young. They're all grown. But the neighborhood is turning around. So something has to be done. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Hi, my name is Jamie Martino. I actually live at the corner of Old Elm and Lighthouse. My house is where the bus stop is located, which I'm really excited about for when my children go to elementary school, that they'll be able to have that opportunity to run out the door and go right there. Speaking of that park, we actually go to that park, but we drive because there's not a chance in hell I am pushing a stroller underneath that bridge, and we walk everywhere. We came from the city. We've been in our house for 3 years. I have 2 boys, 3 and 1. They love to run and play and go everywhere. My husband actually came before this council a couple years ago to ask to put in a fence so that we weren't afraid about the traffic. And I am not somebody who's overly cautious about traffic, but our next door neighbor grew up in the house that they still live in and told us that he got hit by cars several times growing up there. So I was like, a little curious about this. Something that is also concerning is that a large complex is being built, as I'm sure you're aware of, in Conshohocken Township, or in the borough, that's on this same street. It has over, I believe, 275 units. And I know that there's going to be parking that's associated with all of those, as they are building a parking garage, but that it's going to exponentially grow the traffic that's on this street. So right now we see traffic, but it's not a huge amount, but definitely you notice when it's rush hour in the morning, you notice when it's rush hour in the evening. The day that this incident took place, which is horrible, coming home, I went to pick up the kids, my husband called me and said, hey, watch out, somebody got hit on the street, be careful when you're coming back, the traffic's really bad. And just seeing people try to force their way through our neighborhood coming back was also awful. Unfortunately, it's a small neighborhood. We all live there. Most people park on this street. Not everybody has off-street parking. And I feel like we try to be very conscious of one another and to take care of each other's property and to take care of just everything that's around. And I do have to say, I was one of the people laughing about the noise complaint, because I was like, yes, I hear that noise. I hear it all the time too. For us, though, it's lots of entertainment because my boys love to see those cars coming in and out. But I also laugh about it because we moved from the city to not hear traffic. And then the first week that we were out here, I was like, oh, okay. So for me, sometimes all I can do is laugh about it and look at the good side. So I do want to thank you so much for the things that you have done by providing me a place to live with a great school district, a place where I'm excited to send my children when they come of age in a few years, for giving us opportunity to put up a fence so that my children will be safe, for just actually redoing that park that's right underneath the bridge that we do go to. So thank you for doing those things, and I am also putting my faith and my trust in you that we will be able to resolve this issue as well.
Thank you.
Jared Ricci, Johnson Road. I'm switching locations on you, but I pretty much echo everything they've said for my street. So same problem, different part of town. It's been at least a year this has been gnawing at me, and I'm finally to the point. I mean, went to the zoning board, got a front yard fence to put in. I could go out with my dogs. It's like a different place. But when we talk about Plymouth Township, premier place to live, work, and play, I mean, I'm all about the growth. I thought of a litany of things to bring up here. One was the zoning agenda and the proactivity. I have to actually work. More Than the Curve is where I get my township news, and they constantly complain how hard it is to get information. Now, I'm told of a certain day a month, agendas will be posted. There's no consistency on what's posted, so I go sit in a call the zoning guy, the new guy, I knew the old one, Conroy. I said, hey, what's going on with Preet? Doesn't say anything. I'd like to come comment. He's like, okay. I show up, sit there for 2 hours to find out I can't public comment. So I gave a piece of my mind when I left. But I also got to hear our township, I don't know what you call the legal people on our behalf, but for a half hour of the conversation, debate Preet on the definition of what an apartment is versus a two-story high-rise. Some of that gets a little frustrating to me because I want to be involved, I want to give input, but you hear different times you miss something and then people show up and have comments, or when you see a post, it doesn't cover. So I have a proactivity thing just to hear more what's going on. That's my preamble. My main reason I'm here is my street. So I got the fence because of traffic. Johnson Road, and hey, speed limits for one thing, right? My road's 35, probably should be. I sent a video in from my cameras of a car that goes at least 70 multiple times a day. I could hear him at the Plymouth and Johnson stop sign. By the time he gets to my house, or it comes the other way, my neighbor up the street will text me. It's just getting to the point, I submit something, I hear nothing back. Maybe last year I called about the intersection of Johnson and Plymouth. I mean, one of the stop signs are now missing since they put in the sidewalk. Now I realize we have a lot of state roads. Those are 2 state roads. I called PennDOT to ask about white lines. Same problem you heard with this place. There's no sidewalks on my street. If I walk the dogs, now with the Payone property, which I forget what that's called, people are walking up and down the street. 70 miles an hour on a street with no lines, no sidewalks, multiple driveways on both sides is a little extreme. I contrast that to Gravers and Gallagher Road. If you're coming from Lowe's up the hill, that's a nice straight shot. Speed limit's 25. There's 2 white lines right at the, one side's the turnpike, one side's an embankment into the townhome development. I mean, the white lines to me through PennDOT indicate that's where they could monitor speed. And I'm like, of all places to monitor speed, right here, there's, you know, I could see people complain, but still. Gravers and Johnson, now I assume that's still state road. I never had an issue there, but they had a flashing stop sign. So I'm like, great, we had a flashing stop sign on this intersection, but then I lose the stop sign on the one I see an issue with. So I guess, you know, I don't need more stop signs. I don't need things in life slowing me down more. I also don't need a reason to have to come here to complain. And I'm to the proactivity thing. If I send a concern in, or multiple concerns, my neighbors didn't come tonight. But what spurred me to come here is a week before I sent in the video, they had written a letter about stop signs and speed on the road and were told to contact PennDOT. And I don't find that to be acceptable. So that's all I wanted to say. I'm hoping, I mean, I saw officers sworn in on the agenda, but we can get some monitoring on some of these intersections somehow, or a flashing speed sign or something.
So there, I'm familiar with that four-way stop at Johnson and Plymouth. So the stops, there were stop signs there, but it's missing now?
Well, there's four. It's a four-way, and there were
Yeah.
one on each side. So,
So
the
is
one
one
side where they
missing?
put in a sidewalk, I just noticed it.
They
Nobody
didn't
was going to
replace
notice
it.
it on the left side of the road. But the thing is, the one on the right side of the road, as you're coming up towards Sandy Hill,
Yeah.
I mean, the telephone pole kind of blocks it. So I'm always coming the other way to go down the hill. I've face planted my dog in my truck 3-4 times because, you know, I'll look, I start to go, and then somebody doesn't, they're just moving along. Like, it isn't an intersection that's easy to see. When I went to the hearing board for zoning, I actually had pulled the number of accidents. Again, similar to what you heard there. There aren't a lot of accidents. There's a lot of near misses. So it feels like let's wait till something happens and then react. So I do hear, even though that's a different part of town, those complaints, and I sit there and just shake my head. I've been here since 2009. I can't say I've seen a lot of huge change in my life in terms of improvements on sidewalks and things of that nature.
So if that stop sign that's missing, but when it was there was obstructed, the view was obstructed, chief or solicitors, is there a way we can get a stop sign ahead notification so that people know?
I was going to paint it on the
Well, I
road
think
for you
most of
guys,
those
but I
people
thought
are-
I might get in trouble.
Please
for
don't.
that.
Please don't.
But yeah, something. I mean, the school's right there, but when you come up the hill, it's like there's no more school, and you make a right onto my street, and that's like, hey, go as fast as you can till you get to Germantown. I mean, I don't want to belabor other people want to come and yell at you guys for the same thing, but I do want. I don't understand why I can't get a flashing something there and some way to somewhat have the speed. I'd be happy if people went 45 on my street. 70, and how many videos you need me to send you? I got 7 of a green Charger with tinted windows.
I was going to ask, I haven't seen any. I want to find out where you're sending them to, because I'm not
Well, I
aware.
forwarded to, I don't know, I just look over at Karen because I assume they come over to the main mailbox, but then I got a reply that my complaint was passed on. So I assume it went to you, but I don't know.
Did you put it through the website?
Yep.
Through the website. Check. I don't get them personally, but I'll
Okay,
check. Yeah.
but then if you want 5 more videos, and now I found out it's pretty much the same guy most of the time.
I mean, it's a simple solution. I'll talk to you before you leave here. If it's the same person, that's easily, I can solve that
He's
tomorrow.
I mean, 70, I'm not lying. It's 85 feet between telephone poles, and I timed it on my camera, and it's 1 second, which is over 60 to do that. But it's same as other people at rush hour in the morning, rush hour in the evening, contractors going 50 with, you know, trailers and stuff. I mean, there are more people. I don't have kids, but up the street they do, so I don't need any more stops, like I said, and I probably speed too, but it'd be nice to have some curtailment.
I mean, unfortunately, one of the issues is, right now, we've been pulling some of our resources to here. We just had a fatal accident on Jolly Road. We pulled resources there. There's not enough to go around.
The
So
truck-
like, try and do it.
That was one on the news with the truck?
Yeah.
That wasn't a speeding thing, though, was it? A guy had a flatbed
But
hauling
this,
kids
this
around?
road, unfortunately, has had a history of speeding and stop sign complaints. So my point is that we constantly move our resources around because we can't be at all these places.
Well, you can let me know when you've had them on my street, because I don't think we ever have.
Again, I'll get with you to find out where
Awesome.
the videos are and the complaints, but that's
Sure.
an easy solution.
That's my only ask. Thank you.
My name's Carol Betham, 519 Old Elm Street, Plymouth Township. I would like to thank my neighbors for coming here tonight. And everything they said, I've been telling you people for over a year. But it takes, I don't have a big mouth, so you don't listen to me. So, there's a stop sign on Conshohocken Road. I went to Mr. Scott's office. The state didn't put it up, and PennDOT didn't put it up. I'm very happy it's there. But the people in Mr. Scott's office investigated it. So if the state and PennDOT didn't put it up, who put it up?
Can't put a stop sign on a state road without, authority. All our stop signs go through.
But where's the
ordinances.
authority? So I said to them, if I go up there and cut that stop sign down, which we really need it, there's nothing you can do to me. Because the township didn't put it up, the state didn't put it up, and PennDOT didn't put it up. And we can't have a stop sign.
Which stop sign are you talking about?
It's
The one at the
it's
steel
an
plant?
unauthorized stop.
Which
Yes.
stop sign? The one at
Is
the
it in
steel
Plymouth or is it in
Yes.
Conshohocken?
It's in Plymouth. It's before you get to the, if you're coming up Conshohocken Road from Ridge, it's before you get to.
There's only one on Conshohocken Road.
Yeah, so it's right there into
It's
the,
the three-way right there. There's three
before the
stop
blue road, but it's an.
Which we do need. I'm not complaining about it. But who put it up? Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know, I mean, it's been there a while, I don't know, get it, but the township, but it's not.
Hi, good evening. I'm Matt Silva. I live on Old Elm Street. Same as you've already heard from most of my neighbors here today. I just wanted to voice the same grievances I have as my neighbors. It does seem like we really need a stop sign, really more than anything. Yeah, that's all I really have. Nothing really to add. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes, hi. My name is Al Ronderos. I live at 155 Plymouth Road, and maybe this will be a break, but I'm not here to talk about Old Elm Street. So that's a different issue. I recently become aware that, as you know, there's a big hole in the ground at 139 Plymouth Road where the owner of that property tore the house down, and then apparently he's had a problem rebuilding something there. And I don't know if he's here tonight. I thought he was going to come, but here? Oh, okay. All right, so maybe he'll want to talk too. But anyway, the reason that I'm here is it's come to my attention that the reason that hole in the ground is still there after all this time, over a year, is because there's a dispute in the sewer between the owner of that property at 139 and then the owner at 137. Now, that's between them, but the reason it affects me is because I would also have interest in hooking up the public sewer. And my understanding of the situation is that the guy at 137 has made some plan that is only for him to hook up. And I don't think that's right. I think that something should be done so that the entire block is able to hook up if they want to. I don't believe there should be any sort of obligation, but and I'm here to just bring it to the attention of the council that this is going on, that it affects a few people on the block anyway. I believe it affects me, which is why I'm here. And obviously, the most affected person is the developer who can't finish off his project. So, I'd like to find out more about it. I really don't know much about it. Are you Karen Weiss, by the way? Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'd like to talk to you at some point. I don't know what else there is to say. But that's why I came here, to make sure that you're aware of the situation. And if we come up with something to resolve the issue, maybe it'll come before you. I don't know.
Do you have septic right now, Mr. Ronderos?
Yeah, we have septic, yeah.
And is it in need of replacing, or?
It's not at this time, but, we've decided that we probably want to tie into public sewer if we, if we have a chance to. So,
Do you know if any of your neighbors, Mr.
I've talked to
feeling systems?
So I've talked to other people on the block. My immediate neighbor, Sue Cunningham, she says her septic system is fine also. I don't think she wants to hook up at this time. I also talked to the people at the house in the back. I forget.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here? Oh, okay. And, I don't know they can speak for themselves, I guess, but it seemed like they might have some interest in the future, was the impression I got. And then there's another woman, two or three of the properties are rentals, and I have not talked to the landlords. I would assume that they would not want to do anything, at this time. Maybe in the future, maybe if they decide to sell, But that's all I have. There is one other thing. One other reason I came here, I saw this thing about SMG hotels on here, but it flew by so quick. I guess it was not going to be really discussed here.
The items on there that don't have action they're listed on there because they filed, but there's no current action with that. So, can you explain that better than I just did?
Yeah, they filed a land development plan back in 2018. See the number 18-4.
Right.
So that is the property with the very large sinkhole on it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I know about that.
Yeah.
It's on my property too.
Yeah, a lot of sinkholes in the area.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's currently under review, and it seems for the last 5 years it's still under review. There's no movement on it.
Okay.
But it's a pending land development plan, and probably once a year you'll
So
probably
it just got extended. That's the only reason it's here.
It was extended to December 31st, probably yes, December. It's about once a year we get that one.
Okay.
Yeah, no movement on it.
All right. Thank you.
I have a question about the hotel. If there is any movement on that, because that's why I'm here tonight. My name is Catherine Venezia. I live at 143 Plymouth Road. I was contacted because I thought we were going to be discussing the hotel. And so if there is movement on that, will we get a letter in our mailboxes saying, I don't see how they could build anything back there, honestly, with all the sinkholes, and that was my concern. There's sinkholes in the back of my property. There's sinkholes everywhere back there, so.
Can someone give her, give Ms. Venezia a good summary of the land development process, just for something like this, what they've done so far, and then what their steps would be and where they're at, just to kind of give a quick overview.
Well, so I believe when this plan was filed in 2018, Township at the time said we need a sinkhole ordinance. And a study was done and how you would try to remediate the land so that you could possibly use it.
Yeah.
And so that ordinance was adopted. It was prepared by
Canamia Land
Earth
Plan.
Engineering.
Earth Engineering, yeah.
Yeah, Earth Engineering, geotechnical type people who know. So we have this ordinance now. And I mean, they haven't submitted anything other than that right now.
Okay, but if anything does happen, we'll get one of those letters like we usually get.
Usually, the time you would get a letter would be when it's going to come before the planning agency. Yeah.
So like I would come then.
Okay,
You're right?
right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect.
There would be multiple opportunities. There would be a planning agency meeting. If it were to get to us, it would be on our agenda.
Yeah, I mean that other retirement home that was far enough away on solid ground that there's a house there now, I think, and definitely it's scary back there.
So, just so we're clear, don't want to give you the wrong idea. A land development plan like this does not require notice to be mailed to the homeowners.
Okay.
So when you look at our agenda, you can see the things that are going to have some action on them on that particular night.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in this project, looking at the website, once or twice a month, you'll be able to tell what item is in front of us for action, as opposed to it just says expiration date December 31st, 2023, and then like later on you see where there's an extension request and it says action on the agenda.
Okay.
So that's what you'd want to look at the agenda, because land development does not require notices to be mailed. When you go to the planning commission, it does, and if you go to the zoning hearing board, it requires notices to be mailed to the closest neighbors, but land development doesn't. So look at the agenda and see if the word action is ever written next to that project.
The first Monday of every month is our workshop meeting. So the Friday before that is when this agenda always gets posted.
Okay.
So the Friday before the first Monday of the month is, I would look every.
So, okay.
And it's on
but
the.
I need to be looking
under the
myself,
township meeting.
right?
On the township website. There's a link for meeting agenda and minutes. So that end of the month when we publish the agenda for the next month.
But these guys are just keeping it open.
Yeah, and if you don't see
basically,
action,
just keeping it going.
then it's
Okay.
nothing there.
Okay. Thank
It's
you.
in all capital letters and bold at the end of the name. So.
All right.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Any additional public comment?
Good evening, guys. Jason Catania. I own 139 Plymouth Road. I have the ongoing septic situation. So I tried not to get it to this far to where there's easements involved from other companies and other people and so on and so forth. Many moons ago, I guess back in like January, maybe the first time that I tried to get an easement from Cold Point was in October of last year. I had all the paperwork set up. Everything was ready to rock and roll. Dave Comroy at the time, he helped us walk through everything, so on and so forth. And then I was told it was going to be denied because of different reasons. I said, okay. So we went back to the drawing board. We had everything drawn up. I went to my neighbor, 137. I said, here's easement papers from Cold Point. This is what they're requiring. This is the plans that I had drawn up. This is what the boring situation. So I had a plan of having a pressured line straight across front of Plymouth Road, tying into Cold Point, and it would end at my property line, 139. For the future, for other people down the road of Plymouth Township and Plymouth Road, they could tie into that line when they needed to. They're going to need to sooner or later. It's inevitable. It's going to have to be done. So I was going to leave it right at the property line and be done with it. I offered my neighbor at the time, I said, I'll pay for the whole line. All you have to do is pay from your house to the line, and I'll take care of everything else. That's all you have to do. He didn't want to sign it, so on and so forth. For whatever his reasons are, they're his reasons. I had a meeting with Karen, had a meeting with Chris and Joel at that time in January, and we met with everyone. And I said, this is what's going on. If this gentleman gets this easement, he can lock everyone off. I don't know what his reasons are behind the way he's acting about this, but this was in January. I said, listen, if he goes forward and he gets the easement first and he does not want to have anyone else tie into it, it's going to be a dead street. Sooner or later, it's just going to be a dead street. And I was told, we're going to look into it, we're going to look into it, we're going to look into it. Nothing ever came out of it. I repeatedly had my lawyer try and reach out to everyone. Let's have a sit-down meeting with everyone involved. Karen, Chris, the All County, who was representing 137, everyone that could possibly be involved. We kept sending emails. Nothing ever came out of it. And I kept moving forward. Keely, he would call me and say, hey, listen, I'm going to get this easement. You can tie into it afterwards, blah, blah, blah. I said, okay, if this is the way it's going to go, that's the way it's going to go. I'm cool with it, as long as it can happen. I called All County, who is their company that he is dealing with. I didn't call. My wife called because they wouldn't talk to me. They knew my address. They knew who I was. They did not want to talk to me, and they wouldn't. I had my wife call. They told my wife that they're building the sandbox, and they said when it's done, then you can fucking tie into it. That's exactly what they said, but they said it's going to be on their terms. That's what these gentlemen said to my wife. I said, this is crazy. Like, what's going on? But once again, I said, so be it, as long as it's getting done. The easement goes through. They go over to Hale, and they deal with Sal and everything like that. And he gets the easement. I read the easement for the right to know that I asked for. He eliminates everyone from Plymouth Road except for himself. So once again, the only reason that I feel like I'm just so pissed off about this is because I seen it coming. Like, I kept coming and I kept saying, hey, we should have a meeting, let's get together, and I don't understand why, like, more wasn't done prior to this easement. And now it's just like, I don't know where to go. I've been told by the health department that I could still build with the existing sanitation or the septic that's there. I said, okay. But once again, what happens later on? Like, I don't understand how, like, it got this far to where this gentleman just said, okay, I'm going to use the only easement that Cold Point will release for my own personal use. And that when this Cold Point was built, where was everything else? Like, was there no thought of everyone else on Plymouth Road? Like, how else could we tie in? What are other people going to do? They have the main hub right there. And I'm just kind of like, right now, I'm at a loss. I have different engineers working on different things, maybe going a different direction. We talked about going out into the street for PennDOT. That's 40 grand. That's 40 to 50 grand. And then, okay, it stops at me. Then what? Then what happens to the next people? All the other people that follow up, they're going to pay 40 grand. And I don't know who it was that I spoke with, and I apologize. But you also had it done, correct?
No, I had said to you that Karen had it done.
Okay.
I have all the notes from our phone conversation.
Thank you so much, because I forget. But
Yeah,
Karen,
I
you
spoke
had it.
to
It was
Mr.
40 grand,
Ronderos.
right?
I spoke to Mr. Ronderos about it, yeah.
Yeah. It's absurd. So, and I have plans that it works out perfectly. Like, there's not an absurd cost for everyone. It works out for the people of the Plymouth Road. And if they choose to do it or don't choose to do it, that's on them. At least at the end of the day, I provided, as a builder, the right thing. And this gentleman's also a builder. He knows what he's doing. I don't know what his objective is, and I'm not here to judge him. I don't really care. I got my own priorities I'm just trying to handle. But it's just not right. And I just want to know, like, what can be done with this? We tried to reach out to all counties' lawyer, the solicitor, and he hasn't called anyone back. So basically, they're just saying, screw you guys. Unless I'm wrong, unless I see it wrong, unless my terminology isn't proper. But
Jason, have you talked to Cold Point HOA about making the right-of-way like non-exclusive?
I have not. I have not, because they were, how about this? My lawyers have, they're all friends with Hal and Sal and all those guys, so they talk to them. The problem is, from what I understand, this is not my profession, but when you bore, it's an underground system that goes under the ground. It doesn't disturb anything above the ground. Like, it goes under driveways, it goes under streets. You know, most of you know this. So there's no disturbance. So when you tie into the manhole, which we want to tie into, it really only has room for one. I tried to go around back, and I was really looking into it. I thought, okay, this is a solution. We can make this work. The way that it's set up, it wouldn't work. We would have to do all kinds of excavating, and Cold Point's not into that. So this was the main like hub to everything, so on and so forth. And the part that really stinks is that Keeley moved in after I had an agreement with the gentleman who owned the property before Chris. We were talking, I don't know him from a can of paint, but I'll tell you what, he seemed cool. We were talking, Jay, whatever you need to do, take care of what you need to do, I'm on board. I moved forward with everything, lawyers' costs, engineering costs, plans, this, that, and everything was good. And then I literally went to Keeley with easement, plans, pricing, everything. I was transparent as could be. Handed them everything. I said, have your lawyers take a look at it. I'm not trying to hide anything. Do what you need to do. You know, I already signed it. I had it notarized, the whole enchilada. Bottom line is, 2 weeks later, he gave it. I'll say what? Two weeks later, he practically threw them at me. He said, you have nothing here. He goes, I'm not signing anything here. I'm not doing anything with this. And he pretty much walked away from me. I said, okay. Didn't raise my voice, nothing about it. It is his, once again, it's his prerogative to handle it how he chooses. But then he took everything that I provided and he used it for himself. Like, that's crazy. So this is just, once again, I'm not judging them. Everyone can paint their own picture of what the situation is. I just want to know, like, I tried to do my due diligence early on in January, in November, in December, setting up meetings. No one was available. No one was able, blah, blah, blah. Even in January, Karen, we were talking about it. I brought my plans out and said, this is the problem. He's going to connect, and if he does, no one else can connect. You know, whether they want to at this moment, whether they sell, there's renters, when their systems fail, then what happens then? What happens to all these houses on that street? And mine's one of them.
For legal purposes, I don't know what I can say. We have some thoughts. We have some possible avenues that we could explore as a township if it comes to that, but I'm just not sure what we should discuss tonight or what we shouldn't discuss.
I think it's best to say that the township is reviewing this and looking into it to see what we can do.
We're very aware of it, and we are looking
I
at it.
appreciate it.
We've
I mean,
discussed it, and
it's just like so weighing.
Right.
You know, you think I bought it from my aunt during COVID. I didn't even want the place. You know what I mean? She had 3 friends pass away literally within a year from COVID, and she's like, I got to go. So I purchased the property from her. Just not even. I don't want to say I didn't look at it. I knew what the situation was. I had it surveyed. Everything was known. I said, okay, I can go from point A to point B. All I have to do is cross over. It's going to be underground. Everything was considered. Go right ahead. It took a while to get everything. It took a while to get everything in order because it was COVID. So anything that took 1 week today took 3 weeks or a month then. No one's in the office. I'm calling people left and right. They'll call you back. It's 2 weeks later. You know, so it's like this has been going on for 2 years. And at the moment when I had all the plans over to my neighbor, my lawyer, and my engineer at the time, they're like, Jay, you're good. You're 99% ready to rock and roll. All he has to do is sign everything. We'll take care of everything else, so on and so forth. I said, okay, this is perfect. You know, I was away. I get the phone call. It's just not going to work. And I'm like, okay, now what do I do?
Well, let us continue to kind of work on some of the things that are in us, and we have our lawyers.
I know.
As best as we can do. Our
Handsome
lawyers,
devils,
love
too.
it when
Handsome
we hand it
devils.
over to our lawyers, but our lawyers are aware, and we'll continue to stay in contact and communication and see what kind of resolution we can come to.
The only
as
thing
soon
that
as
scares
possible.
me is that if it's going to be a PennDOT situation, they're talking about manholes and cleanouts and repaving, and that I'm taking a light estimate of $40,000. You know, and then at that point, it doesn't really make sense.
It's not the preferred. That's not the preferred option.
Correct.
Got it.
So, all right, that's what I got.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much, guys.
Only take a second. My name's Harold Kresge. I own the property at 214 Hillside Avenue.
Tell me your last name again. I'm sorry.
Kresge, K-R-E-S-G.
Thank you.
This time is now 8:55, and the Greater Plymouth Keys will be closing in 5 minutes. At this time, you should be making your way towards the exit.
I'm going to be knocking down the house, building a new house, and working on all
And
that.
I'm sorry, where'd you say you?
I'm going to be knocking down the home and building a new four-bedroom home on the
okay.
property. There's a sidewalk rule in effect that my builder has let me know that if I install these sidewalks, it's going to affect the neighbor next door's property, their garage, their fence, and I'm not sure how to address it, and I'm not sure if this is the right forum. 214 Hillside Avenue. It's across the street from Romano's bus station in the older neighborhood there. There's very little sidewalks in the entire neighborhood. I'll be putting up a house. It's going to have just a sidewalk across the front of the house, and on the left there's a fence. When they do their work, the whole fence will have to fall down because of the way the grading will have to be done, apparently. That's it.
So there are you can apply for a waiver for a sidewalk when you do development like that. We do have some. Go ahead. Were you going to interrupt me? So that would be through zoning. The waiver, no.
Yeah.
Through land development.
So I guess what council said to the people in the Plymouth Valley.
Yeah, I don't want to necessarily mesh the two, but
Okay, well.
Yeah.
we are revisiting our sidewalk ordinance
Yeah,
right now.
revisiting.
Because there are some inconsistencies, and we'd like to make sure that it's a little bit more fair to everybody. So, if it, in a traditional setting, like you may need to ask for a waiver, but we're also kind of spending. We're going to take about a year to sort of revisit our ordinance and see if there may be some exceptions. So I don't know. I don't know the specific area and everything around it right now. Whether you would probably need to get a waiver, or whether you may fall under some kind of revision.
And that would be applied for along with the permit to do the work to the property.
Correct, right?
You'd have to ask for the fact.
Or,
Or
yeah.
you could
What-
apply at any time.
But my builder won't even give me the contract to sign without knowing whether or not he has to do the sidewalks before, you know what I mean? So he told me to come here.
You'd have to get a waiver, right? You have to get a waiver.
So a waiver from the borough first?
From the township.
From the township. Okay, thank you.
Yep. If anything else comes up with that, just let us know if you have any other questions.
Thank you.
Additional public comment? Sure.
Richard Schickling from Boulder Road, Plymouth Meeting. These residents from Cunningtown, I wish you well. I served 15 years on the Manayunk Neighborhood Council. We had some traffic and parking issues in Manayunk. And we had a stop sign issue that we couldn't seem to get resolved. I had 8 people in my living room on Manayunk Avenue showing people that there was excessive speeding. Nobody wanted to yield the right of way. This was at 8 o'clock on a weeknight, and people couldn't pull onto Manayunk Avenue, couldn't cross the street because of speeding traffic. We had representatives from SEPTA, the local councilman, who was Michael Nutter at the time. We had people from PennDOT, and we had a representative from the city traffic department. At that time, everybody wanted something to happen except the traffic department. They said, you don't have warrants. Well, now this lady that got injured, you have your first warrant. Start keeping a tab on how many accidents, how many near misses happen. That's your first warrant. The other thing is there is the safety involved, and the you need to do something like possibly petition your council. One thing we did is we went back to Michael Nutter, and he said, we can't seem to do anything. So Michael Nutter, being a lawyer, said, all right, we want a stop sign at that location on Manayunk Avenue. He went and put a law on the books of the city of Philadelphia that there will be a stop sign, a 4-way stop sign at Manayunk Avenue and Seville Street. The traffic and the PennDOT was really pissed, and they didn't like it, but it's a law on the books of the city of Philadelphia. You residents need a little relief. This is a place where how many people? 40 people, 40 houses are back there, and you know, you need some relief. And maybe this is something we need to think about. As far as the sidewalk, the township has a budget surplus and a rainy day fund. If they can't find a way to do something, maybe they ought to look in the closet and see if they have any money there. Thank you.
Any additional public comment? Thank you. Meeting adjourned.